Alaska urban legends. In the vast frozen wilds of Alaska, where daylight can vanish for months and the land itself feels alive, there are stories carved into the ice, warnings whispered on the wind, legends that stretch back generations and still echo today. They are not just tales, they are truths disguised as myth. Beings that shift in the trees, eyes that blink beneath the sea, footsteps in untouched snow. Tonight, we'll journey deep into the heart of Alaska's most haunting legends. These are the stories survivors remember, and the missing leave behind. So turn down the lights and listen closely, because in Alaska, the dark doesn't just fall, it watches. Urban legend number 1, the Ursenat, shadows on the ice. In the remote reaches of Alaska, where the sun disappears for months and the silence of the tundra presses in like a weight, there are stories that echo through time. Stories whispered by the wind, shared in low voices around fires, and remembered by those who know the land best. One of those stories is about the Ursenat. These beings are part of Yupik lore, and their legend is not one told lightly. They're not ghosts, not quite spirits, but something older, something stranger. The Ursenat are described as small, human-like figures, humanoid but somehow off. They live in a world that runs parallel to ours, separated only by the thinnest veil. Some say they live underground. Others believe they dwell in the deep wilderness, just beyond the reach of human eyes. But sometimes, they cross over, and when they do, people vanish. According to legend, the Ursenat can appear suddenly, sometimes in broad daylight, sometimes in your dreams. They're said to be tricksters, quiet and clever, often watching from the shadows or the tree line. If you see one once, consider yourself lucky. If you see one twice, you may not come back. There are countless tales from hunters and travelers deep in the bush. One man recalls being followed for days. He'd turn to look, and there would be nothing there. But at night, he'd hear small footsteps circling his camp. Another woman, traveling alone by snowmobile, said she saw figures out on the tundra, far too small to be men, walking effortlessly through deep snow. When she turned her machine around, they were gone. But the next morning there were tracks around her camp, tiny barefoot prints in the snow, leading right up to her tent. The Ursenat are not malicious in the way we think of monsters. They don't roar or charge. Instead, they lure. They invite. They confuse. Some who go missing are believed to have been taken into the other world, the world of the Ursenat, never to return. There are rare stories of those who came back. A child found days later, disoriented, unable to explain where they'd been. A man who wandered out of the woods barefoot, with no memory of the past 3 days. Both said the same thing. There were voices in the trees. Even scarier, you can't fight them. Weapons have no effect. GPS doesn't work. Radios go silent. Dogs refuse to follow the trail. The only protection, elders say, is respect. Don't speak of them at night. Don't wander alone. And above all, never follow them, no matter what they promise you. Because the Ursenat don't always take you by force. Sometimes, they simply ask. And the moment you say yes, you're already gone. In a land as vast and unforgiving as Alaska, it's easy to feel alone. But the legend of the Ursenat reminds us, in the shadows of the forest, in the deep snow, and beneath the frozen soil, something else may be watching. And it doesn't blink. Urban legend number 2, the Kushtaka, laughter in the cold. In the icy reaches of southeastern Alaska, where the sea meets shadowed cliffs and the forests grow ancient and deep, there is a sound you never want to hear. Laughter. Not cheerful, not human. Something else. High-pitched. Echoing. Inhuman. They say if you hear it, it's already too late. Because that laughter belongs to the Kushtaka. According to Tlingit legend, the Kushtaka, also known as the land otter people, are shapeshifters. Part man, part otter, part something else entirely. They dwell near rivers, glaciers, and coastlines, and they don't like to be seen. To those who know the stories, the Kushtaka are more than myth. They are predators of the soul. They can appear in many forms: a long-lost loved one calling to you from the shoreline, a stranded hiker waving in the distance, a child crying softly in the woods. But these are only illusions. What lies beneath the surface is something darker. The Kushtaka are said to lure people away from safety, often those lost in the woods or near water. Sometimes they call out for help, sometimes they mimic voices, and sometimes they just laugh. Once you follow them, you disappear. Not just from the land of the living, but from memory. It's said they don't just kill, they transform. Steal your identity, strip your spirit, leave something else in your place. The Tlingit believe the Kushtaka trap their victims' souls, keeping them from moving on to the afterlife. Worse still, some legends say they convert their prey into more Kushtaka, spreading their kind like a cold infection through the wild. One fisherman swore he saw one years ago, just a flicker of movement in the corner of his eye. He turned and saw a figure standing knee-deep in the surf, covered in wet fur, with long fingers and black shining eyes. It smiled, but its mouth was far too wide. Another hiker said she followed the sound of her sister's voice through the woods near Juneau. Her sister had died the year before. She woke up 2 days later at the base of a cliff with no memory of how she'd survived. To this day, she won't go near the water alone. Some say the Kushtaka only prey on the weak, the lost, the cold. Others believe they're drawn to grief, to those mourning loved ones. But the truth is, no one really knows how they choose. Only that when they do, they come silently, wearing a familiar face, calling you home. So if you're ever in the Alaskan wild and you hear laughter echoing through the trees, or a voice calling your name when no one should be around, don't follow it. No matter how much it sounds like someone you love. Because the Kushtaka is not what it seems, and it never comes alone. Urban legend number 3. The Kalupalik Beneath the Ice. Far in the northern reaches of the Arctic, where the sea ice creaks like bones and the sky hangs heavy with silence, there is a story passed down through generations. A warning, wrapped in a whisper. The tale of the Kalupalik. The Kalupalik is not a spirit, nor an animal. She is something else. Something that lives beneath the ice and waits. They say she walks the shoreline in the early light of morning, draped in a parka made of eider feathers and fish skin, her long webbed fingers trailing along the frozen water. Her hair is black as the sea, her skin greenish and slick, more like a seal than a woman. But it's her lullaby that you must never follow, because the Kalupalik is drawn to children. Lonely children, disobedient children, children who stray too close to the sea. Her voice rises from beneath the water, soft, rhythmic, almost loving. And when a child leans in to listen, they disappear, taken beneath the ice. Some say she keeps them forever in her underwater lair, neither dead nor alive, just dreaming in the dark. Others believe she feeds off their youth, their laughter, their life. Parents in Inuit villages have long told the tale to warn their children. Never wander to the shoreline alone. Never ignore the cracking of the ice. And never, ever answer the song in the water. There are stories, frightening ones. One tells of a young boy who wandered from his village one overcast morning. He'd heard something, soft, melodic, coming from the tide pools near the edge of the bay. A lullaby almost. He followed it, drawn across the frozen stones and thinning ice. His footprints were found hours later, leading to the very edge of the water, and then stopping. No splash, no trail back, just silence, and the quiet cracking of ice reforming. Another tells of a girl, no older than 10, who claims she saw something move beneath the ice while collecting driftwood with her brother. She dropped everything, drawn toward the frozen surface, and stared down. That's when she saw it. A pale face beneath the water, framed in black hair, eyes wide open, lips moving slowly, as if speaking or singing. The girl froze, unable to move. It was her brother's scream that broke the spell. He yanked her back just before the ice beneath her began to give way. And then, there are the dogs. Sled teams who, without reason, begin howling in the middle of the night, ears flattened, tails low, eyes locked on the shoreline. The villagers say it's a bad sign, that when the wind changes direction and the howling stops all at once, that's when you listen. Because that silence is never empty. It means she's near. But the Kalupalik is not a monster in the traditional sense. She doesn't strike. She doesn't scream. She sings. And the scariest part? The song doesn't scare you. It comforts you, calls to you, makes you believe you're safe, until the moment the water opens, and you are gone. So if you ever find yourself near the Arctic Sea, and you hear something calling softly through the fog, don't go closer, don't answer, don't listen, because the Kalupalik waits beneath the ice, and she is always listening. Alaska is more than wilderness and wonder. It's a land where the veil between worlds is thin, where ancient spirits still move with the wind and the old stories refuse to die. Whether it's the Ursenat waiting just beyond the tree line, the Kushtaka wearing a familiar face, or the Kalupalik's lullaby rising from below, the legends of this land live on because the warnings are still needed. So if you find yourself alone in the far north, stay close to the fire, listen to the elders, and never answer a voice that shouldn't be there. Thanks for watching. If these legends sent a chill down your spine, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more haunted history, and share it with someone brave enough to watch in the dark. Until next time, stay curious and stay creepy. Bye for now.